Alright guys, T2 back again with another video. It's been a while. Been doing some live streaming, but now I'm needing to make a video to set some of you guys straight. So, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I got a lot of guys on my Facebook page that have been commenting about how bad Joe Biden is for pulling out of Afghanistan. And they're just throwing all these pictures up like Joe Biden with bloody hands. And just all kinds of like memes and shit about somebody just said a minute ago, like Joe Biden, you found out that Joe Biden is what you thought Trump was. Like, all these opinions about Joe Biden, they're so stupid if you know what you're talking about, if you've been through it. And I'll tell you why I'm the perfect person to talk about this. And I'll tell you another reason why people that are 18 to 26 are in bad shape. So I'm 45. And when the Afghan, Iran, Iraq, all those, well, not Iran, when Iraq, Afghanistan started, I was like 25 or something like that, right? So it started out I was an adult, and now I'm an old adult with more sense than I had when I was 25. But 25, you got a pretty good kind of an idea of what's going on around you. So people that are just like 18 to 26 now, they weren't even born when this shit started, so they have no fucking clue, which means they're going to be voting in the next election based on all the shit that Fox News is spitting out about how bad Joe Biden is when he's actually not bad. And I don't know if my camera is just staying at the bottom part of my screen right now, or if that should be in the middle, or what, but anyway. You guys that you're in your 30s, and you're still making these opinions that you're getting, like, confused by Fox News, or these Republican news outlets that are like full of shit. You need to be watching like Secular Talk, Kyle Kalinske. He's like pretty straight shooter. I watched a video earlier today with, well, this was a Fox guy, but I was going to use it as my example. See, I can't show these videos or I'll get copyrighted. And I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to see this video because I hardly have any people watching my videos anymore. But if this happens to go viral, I can't put copyrighted footage in it because then it'll get removed and then my message won't get out there and it's just a big pain in the ass. But anyway, I'm 45. I was 25 when this shit started, and I've got a pretty good memory. I think I got a better memory than most people have, but it's not like a great memory. I'm not like a eidetic or photographic memory, but I can tell you like why this all started and how it happened and whose fault it really is. It's George Bush Jr.'s fucking fault. And George Bush Sr.'s fault, and Dick Cheney's fault. And Clinton was in between there. I don't know if he had anything to do with it or not. Barack Obama played a part in it. But, see, this all started. George Bush Sr. got us into the original Iraq War, Desert Storm. And there's a bunch of stuff going on. This was about when they figured out the military-industrial complex is going to be a way to make money. And they figured out, like, we can make a lot of money off of oil over there, right? So a lot of people think this war was about oil. And it partially was, but there's a lot of other stuff involved with it. So, George Bush Jr. takes over the presidency. This probably was all planned by the Skull and Bones Society, or like, you know, there's all the conspiracies that the presidential elections are all rigged from the start, or the way they draw lines in congressional districts and stuff. It's all like, it's all like made up, like your vote doesn't count. I kind of believe that your vote doesn't count, but I don't know about that. There's a lot of this is going to be related to conspiracies, but a lot of it's like, it's pretty much true. So George Bush Jr. takes over right when the 9/11 happened, and Dick Cheney was the vice president. You guys probably don't remember that if you're really young. So if there's all these conspiracies about like 9/11 was a false flag attack, like the Reichstag or the what's the other one? But they blew up their own ship and stuff. They even had plans to like bomb our own country and like blame it on Cuba at one point, I think. But our country is fucking corrupt as hell. The government is anyway. The people usually don't have any idea what's going on and they get away with it. Now that you got the internet and WikiLeaks and all this stuff, they can't really get away with stuff like that anymore. But anyway, 9/11 could have been a false flag attack orchestrated by our own government because the guys, the 19 hijackers that took down the planes, they were trained by Bin Laden. Bin Laden was trained by the CIA, right? That's the whole story. It's like, it kind of, we trained the people to do what they did. And there's things about like the Pentagon maybe didn't even happen, and you got the Building 7 and all this other stuff. But besides all that, I know I'm going to lose my train of thought here. But the whole purpose of 9/11 was to get us into an endless war that they can profiteer off of. So you guys probably don't remember, let's see, when they took down Hussein. After that, I think Obama was president for a lot of weird shit. Like, you guys probably don't remember Blackwater, the private military company, that they were doing a bunch of well, I forgot about the torture of what was it? Al Ghraib prison. Yeah, they were torturing prisoners. That really doesn't make any money, so I don't see. That's probably just like a scandal. But the Boston bombings happened on Obama's watch, and the Newtown shooting happened on Obama's watch. These were all like gun control kind of issues, probably. But Blackwater got in trouble for something over in Iraq or Afghanistan, and they had to rename their company to Kraft International. And then when the Boston bombing happened, all these like internet sleuths, they were taking pictures that were coming out, and they were like drawing lines to like this Punisher hat symbol, which is the Kraft International symbol. And it was kind of proven that these two guys that actually did the Boston bombing were members of Blackwater, or the new Kraft International private military company. I'm not really sure what the end goal of that would be. I guess it's probably more like you got to show that terror is a thing still, because there weren't any terror attacks. See, after the 9/11 thing, the easiest way to stop a 9/11 attack again would be like put some bulletproof doors on the pilot in the plane, between the pilot and the passenger, so they can't get to the pilot. You can't control the plane. You can't blow up buildings with planes. It just can't happen. So I guess you could like decompress it, like open the doors or something, kill everybody in the back, but they're not going to be able to like fly it into a building. That would be the easy fix. And we haven't had a lot of hijacking since then, have we? Like, it happened the one time and then never happened again. Like, if Al-Qaeda or ISIS was really intent on causing terror attacks, it would be... You would think they would have done something by now, right? Because if it was just us causing a false flag attack, you only need to do it once. And it only happened once. So it kind of seems like we maybe did that. We did that shit. So, my voice gets really high when I'm getting excited. But, what else was the other there was this incident where there was a big pallet of money that went missing at one point. It was probably like $1 billion or something, just vanished out of thin air. Nobody knew where it went. There was all these photos of like soldiers standing in poppy fields, because drugs was another thing that we're doing over there. We got the oil, we got the drugs, we got minerals that are really good over there. I don't know who's mining these minerals or how they're getting them out. But these are all like theories of like how we make money over there. There's also just the military-industrial complex itself. Like, you make bombs for years, and then you have a target to waste those bombs on, and you drop them on countries. Or all these vehicles, like the MRAPs and the Humvees and shit that we left over there after Biden withdrew. Those were all just like money laundering. Like, we build all this shit, and you got to spend it somewhere. So you have a budget. The military budget gets approved by Congress. We send all this shit overseas, and then we just dump it, and then we leave it there, and then it's like dumping shit in the ocean. It's like, if you want to make money, have the citizenry, us, pay for a bunch of shit, and then have that shit just kind of vanish into thin air. Leave it over in some other country and let them deal with it. That's how we're getting ripped off for 20 fucking years. So... I don't see how anybody can blame Biden for this. How the fuck is this Biden's fault? So, like, really, it would have to be a Democrat to end the war, right? Because a Republican, if you don't know what a war hawk is, the Republican Party is the party of war and oil and capitalism, and just, they're corrupt as fuck. All they want is money. They want small government because... Well, that's how you get people to vote for him anyway. It doesn't matter. But, you know, Bush and Trump, they're not going to end the war because they're Republicans. They have the Republican Party up their ass if they want to get reelected. They can't end wars. But the Democrats, you think Obama would have done that? It's a shame he wasn't. I mean, I'm not even a Biden supporter. I don't even like Biden, but I'm kind of surprised how good Biden has turned out, despite everybody in the world besides me and Kyle Kalinske thinking he did a good job. My parents even, they're huge Trump fans. They hate Biden. I don't know why. I mean, I can't convince them of any of this shit. I don't know. It's not hard to understand. George Bush Jr. started this shit, but technically it was like Dick Cheney and his dad, but he was kind of like a puppet. He was just like he was just a dumb ass motherfucker. He was so stupid. Provenly stupid. He even called mission accomplished when the shit was still going on. Went on for like 15 more years or something like that, right? And he was reading a book when 9/11 happened to kids, and like he did a bunch of stuff. Like I was going to like write down all the stupid shit he did when he was president, but like I never got around to doing that. But anyway, I was talking about this shit, and I know like if this video went viral, the military would be up my ass saying you have no right to talk about this because you weren't in the shit for 20 years and you weren't out in the deserts like choking on sand and having to kill people and shit. Well, you have no right to talk about this. Bullshit, I don't. Because I'm the motherfucker that was saying from the goddamn beginning of this that this was a bad idea. You're fighting a war against terror? An ideology? You're going to try to win a war against an idea? Everybody was saying that. Actually, there was like a lot of people saying that. But these fucking people where I live, basically, people like right-wing motherfucking Christian conservatives from the very beginning, they're like, we got to go over there and fight for our freedoms. Because if we don't, we're going to get attacked by terror attacks and planes bombing all of our cities. Like, yeah, that happened. It was never a threat. We were never in any trouble. All you had to do was put a fucking bulletproof door between a fuselage and a pilot's cabin and you solved the problem. Even the TSA, like, never really found anything. We had people that were bringing explosive components on the planes just to prove that the TSA was fucking worthless, and they still are. They've never served a purpose, but they just like make us waste a lot of time on planes. Like, we don't even these people smoke on planes back in the 70s. Can't even smoke on a plane anymore. Well, I guess that makes sense, but it's so stupid, dude. If you've been seeing this from the beginning, I've seen this for 20 fucking years, and I just got bored with it like everybody else. Like, you don't notice if there's a new attack, like new deaths. It was like so many thousands and thousands of people. 9/11 was like 3,000, and once it got past 3,000, I'm like, you just wasted another 9/11 trying to stop another 9/11. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's idiotic. But of course, it's not even about that. It's not about fighting for freedoms. Nobody over there is doing anything that could take away our freedoms. It's all about making money. I've heard other stories about how they waste money. Like, if they do all these oil changes on vehicles that they don't even drive just because they have to keep them up to date in case they do. Like, did you see the amount of vehicles that are over there that Biden left and everybody thinks Biden's fault for leaving it? We couldn't win a war with that much stuff in 20 fucking years. You guys, this is the point you're missing. We had 20 years. Vietnam was 10 years. We've had 20 years. Like in history class, you learn about the 100 Years' War. You're like, what the fuck? How can a war last 100 years? I only had one last 20 in my lifetime. Like, you remember how bad the Vietnam War pullout was? Like, Saigon, the fall of Saigon, and the helicopters pulling away, and like people grabbing on the helicopters and wanting to get out of that shit. That was just a 10-year war. And this is a 20-year war. 13 people died, and everybody's freaking out. Like, what the fuck? They've been hundreds of people dying for years. Nobody give a fuck. Now there's 13 people dead. Like, oh God, we can't have Biden as president anymore. We gotta impeach him. 13's a pretty good number, I think, for pulling out of a 20 fucking year war. What are you talking about? And then, that's not even the worst of it. Where was I at? The Taliban. So, the Taliban was in on it the whole time. They were talking to the Afghan militias that were at the checkpoints and stuff, like chilling out, just like, okay, when America leaves, we're going to just take over. And they're like, yeah, we know that. And everybody's cool with it. And Biden didn't have any clue, which is kind of... Y'all didn't think that was a little suspect? Biden didn't know about this? Okay, so Biden is the executive officer, the commander-in-chief, right, of the military. He's the guy. Ultimately, everything falls back on the president. But the president, he's running the whole country over here, and he also has to deal with shit over there. You kind of got a lot on your plate. I mean, this is probably the most important thing in his day. Do you think Biden is sitting around, like, figuring out strategies? Like, how much... The logistics of how are we going to get all these, like, helicopters and C-130s back over here? And how are we going to get all these MRAPs loaded up? Biden ain't doing that shit. You got generals that do that shit. That's their job. The generals also are Republican war hawks. They want to stay in an endless war. That's their job. If they don't stay in an endless war, they don't have a job anymore. They're not going to tell Biden the right strategies. So the thing I was watching with Hannity and Pompeo, I think he used to be a general under Trump or somebody. So he was talking about, I'm always in the phone calls. I know what would go down and shit. He's just full of shit. So with the generals, obviously they're going to tell Biden that everything's going to, they're not going to take over Afghanistan immediately. And I can see why Biden got confused there, because they tricked him. Now they're making him look stupid so that the Republican can win the next time. And they're trying to, like, get Trump to be the next Republican candidate again, but they're saying, like, that's a stupid idea. Some people are saying like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What was my point? So the generals, they don't... I don't know if there even really is a good way to bring back all the equipment, the C-130s and the MRAPs and the Humvees and the machine guns and all that shit. I'm sure there probably was a good way to do it, but the video I was watching, he was saying, like, there's this one part, like 2/3 of the way through the video. I probably should play it for you. I can tell you what he says. He says, like, during the drawdown, I guess this was during Trump's administration, we got down to like 8,000 people, and then we took a pause, and we checked the environment. They said, well, is everything still good? Okay, still good. Nobody's trying to take back over the country? Okay. We draw back down to 4,000 troops. They look around again. They paused. They checked out the situation. Everything still seems good. So then he says, like, Biden takes over and everything went to shit. They just took over the country. Like, he didn't draw down slow enough or something like that. That's bullshit. That's just bullshit, man. Did you guys see the video where the soldiers were talking about how hard it was to train the Afghan military about... Like, here's the thing. Afghanistan's not a real country. If you watch Kyle Kalinski's videos, he talks about how it's a fake country that we try to prop up. Because back in the beginning, this is why it pisses me off that the military today would say that I have no business talking about this. The original reason to go to war never was because of 9/11 in Iraq. I'm trying to remember what the actual thing was. I think it was just to overthrow Saddam Hussein, because they had two groups of Muslims that were fighting against it, the Shia and the Sunni. But they never actually said, we're going to Iraq to get retaliation for 9/11. We did say it had something to do with, like, fighting the war on terror, trying to, like, end this conflict between two groups of Muslims so you didn't have ISIS in power, or Al-Qaeda as it was called back then. I think it was called ISIL during Barack Obama's time. But then, I don't know why we went into Afghanistan. I think we had that mission to find Osama bin Laden and kill Osama bin Laden. I think we ended up finding him in Pakistan, right? He wasn't even in Afghanistan. He was kind of on the border. So what was our reasoning for going into Afghanistan? Nobody ever said. So, actually, Pakistan and India, I think, used to be just two countries that were next to each other, and then they kind of made this area Afghanistan. I'm not really sure how Afghanistan came about. I need to Google that and figure out, like, how it became a country. But it's not like a real country that has, like, an idea of nationalism. They're not, like, putting out an Olympic hockey team every year. It's not like they have... Do they even have a national anthem or anything? It's just, like, a few cities, and then the rest it's all, like, farmland, and it's guys that, like, sit around and... Like in this video where they're training the soldiers, they're just, like, sitting around smoking hashish all day. Like, all they care about is, like, farming, smoking weed, and just they're just lazy and they're stupid. I mean, I hate to say that about a group of people, but it's like, if you're in the middle of the fucking desert, what else are you going to do? It's not like they have TVs and they're sitting around watching war movies growing up, like wanting to be a soldier when they grow up. And like, oh, I got to join the Afghan army, be all I can be, G.I. Joes, and all this kind of shit. They don't have that. They have no idea about nationalism, or probably don't even know who the president is over there, or what the flag is. Probably don't have a national bird. It's this fucking fake country that we propped up in between Pakistan and India because we wanted to establish some kind of government that we could make deals with, so that we could move in there and like get their minerals or use them for dumping all of our $80 billion a year military budget over there. I'm not sure of the details, but I'm pretty sure this is how this all came about. It was all like propping up a fake government in a fake country, and then of course when we leave, the Taliban takes it over because there wasn't a real government there. It was all fake. The president fled with so many millions of dollars because he was going to be hanged if he didn't. Would you stay in a country if you knew that the Taliban was going to hang you as soon as the Americans pulled out? I don't think I would. I'd probably get out of there if I had a few $1 million to take with me. And a lot of people would kill someone over $1 million. You could hire an assassin for like $80,000, I think. But to kill somebody, I mean, $1 million will do it for most people that have like the slightest intent on murder or greed or whatever. But $80 billion a year, or $2 trillion that they're talking about spending, like, can you see why this corrupt government would do some shit like that for that much money? Is that making a little bit of sense to you? There's a lot of money involved, and basically you gotta have a reason to like spend it, so that's how you kind of launder the money so that you can get it. It's hard to explain. What else was I going to talk about? Yeah, so how is this Biden's fault? Biden's the first one that had the balls to draw out of a war that we've been in for 20 years. And then immediately, all these soldiers start coming out and talking about how we need to go right back in there. I wonder who would benefit from that. Could it be the soldiers that get paid to go over there and fight in these stupid wars? And build these barracks and buildings that they never occupy, and then they move to the next place? That's another thing I heard. Or like if you need a printer ribbon for a printer, they just buy like a new printer instead. I mean, that's probably just because of the way that works, because it's just cheaper. And they just shred the printers. I watched this video that was talking about how much military spending is like wasted on stupid shit, and it's ridiculous. Do we have to worry about Taliban using all these vehicles we left over there? I mean, what's the flight range on one of those Predator drones? I don't know if that can't reach like America, so they'd have to stage it at a certain location. I mean, do they have anybody trained to fly a C-130, or do we even leave those operational? I mean, a lot of it was probably destroyed. Or I guess, I don't know. I guess they're just betting on them not being able to fly it, or they're probably going to sell it to Russia, and then we got to worry about dealing with fucking Russia. But no matter who's the president at the time, no matter what you do, there's only like a certain amount of stuff you can take out of there, probably. I mean, there's probably not a better way to do it. Like, if you guys think Biden did such a bad job, do you have a better idea, a proposal of how we could have gotten that shit out of there? When you're in a place for 20 years, stuff kind of builds up, especially when you're like purposefully leaving it over there because you're money laundering it, the value of it, and then you're not expecting to ever bring it home, so you don't have any logistical way to bring it home. Yeah, fucking 13 people dying. How the fuck is that bad? That's good numbers. Those are rookie numbers. You gotta keep those numbers down, but that's pretty good, I think. For how many people, we've lost like thousands of people over the 20 years. Let's end that shit. The American people overwhelmingly want the war to end. I saw a lot of polls about that. Like, even if like the Taliban completely took over control, we'd still, like, 55% of Americans still want us to, like, pull out of the war. And I think the Taliban isn't really as bad as, like, the terrorist organization. It's just, like, a bunch of really orthodox Muslim people that want to kind of oppress women and have all this Sharia law stuff, but, like, not, like, jihadi kind of suicide bomber mentality about it. Maybe they are. I mean, they still just shoot people in the back of the head and execute them for being apostates or Americans or whatever, but they're not the worst of the worst. I mean, people want to live like that. They can stay over there or get out, I guess. I don't know. It's like people starving in Africa. Like, get out of Africa. What are you doing over there? Stop making babies if you can't afford to eat over there. Or, like, if you hate Sharia law so much, get out of there. Stop having kids with people that... Well, I guess they're probably raping them. That's probably why that is. But look, Middle East is fucked. There's no good way to deal with it. Why are we over there? I don't know. I feel like I had more to say. Oh, the big thing about, like, the 18 to 26-year-olds. I mean, the next election, they're all going to be voting for fucking Republicans because they don't even remember George Bush Jr. Pisses me off. Anyway, I'm sure I'll remember like 50 more things after I get off here. That's the main part. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's doing a pretty good job, from what I can tell. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you guys heard some stuff on Fox News that I didn't hear about. That's always what my mom and dad say. Like, you're not watching Fox News, you don't know. Okay. I was just here the entire time watching all this stupid decisions being made and making videos about it, and nobody would ever listen. And I was completely justified and turned out to be right every goddamn time, but I don't know anything, apparently. Anyway, this has been Unpopular Opinion with you two.